Well, hey, good Tuesday to you guys. We are in for a weather change, I think, especially with warmer temperatures moving into parts of the central and eastern U.S. We're already starting to see that, but not across the Northeast. We're bitterly cold here, and some may be asking, I think over the next couple of days, is winter over? And you may be throwing in the towel. And it actually had me thinking this morning, there's so many people that want snow. It got me going, why do you want the snow? I started thinking about that. I got to be honest with you, there's sometimes that I want it to snow, but I think is it rooted maybe when I was a child? I loved getting out of school. I don't know. Why do you like it? Let me know in the comments below, because let me tell you something. Snow and no snow, not, besides the drought aspect of it, just take that off the table, right? Of course, we need snowpack and all those things. Take the precipitation and the needs of water tables and all those things out. Why do you like snow? What is it about it that you like? Why are you angry when you don't get it? And I'm not talking about the economical impacts of the snowmobile. And by the way, the ski industry across the Central Appalachians, Southern Appalachians, and the Northeast, stellar year this year. Probably unmatched to many we've seen in the years past. We've got a ton of snow on the ground in West Virginia, almost 3 feet in the mountains. It's absolutely wild, and ample snowmaking opportunities. But some of you have not seen any snow. So let me know, what is it about the snow that you like so much, or maybe you dislike? I'm telling you guys, as growing up on a farm and working on a farm many years after that, I come to despise it at some points. So maybe you feel what I'm talking about. All right, let's talk about what's going on. Back to the weather. Cold air starting to retreat as we head into really the weekend across the Northeast. So we will warm up here. It's been a while. So a bit of a break coming for you guys. We're watching this upper low swinging through. It looks like it's going to move due east. Earlier in the week, I'm talking about like over the weekend, it looked like it wanted to go this way. It's not. It's heading off the East Coast. And now we're watching this big ridge across Alaska. And I would say typically that would really just continue to just push a lot of cold air into the south and maybe even into the southeast. However, you've got this lobe of cold air here across the far west. That's likely going to drop into the Pacific Northwest. With this, we turn cold in the west. Now we're bringing our moisture here. We're warming up here across the Central Plains. A cold shot may actually get enhanced across the Northeast as we head into next week. But once this cold drops into the west, now these models actually are going to flatten out, so it's not going to look nearly as intense. Watch what happens. This digs in here. We're above average across the east, I think, through the 6th, 7th, maybe even the 8th. But then here comes the change. I think you get northwest flow here across the central U.S. This would open up the door for any kind of winter storms. I don't think winter's over, guys. I don't think the chance for snow is over. It may not be what you're thinking over the next couple of days. You may be really sad unless you're hoping for snow across the Four Corners states. We've not seen much here. We've got some in northern Arizona, New Mexico, also into Colorado, and this northwest flow snow continues across the Northeast. It's tough to get it across the mountains, but we might get some. Let's go in a little bit closer here across the Southwest, and then we'll work our way across the country. We've got that snow here, and look how much snow is on the way as we head into the weekend here, pretty much across the northwestern United States. Feet of snow, I think, into the Cascades, into Northern California, and into Idaho, Montana, Wyoming. We've got a lot of snow on the way in this part of the country. Let's take it day by day. We'll walk it out through the week. We've got some snow that's moving through the Northeast today. In fact, there have been snow squall warnings through the early morning hours with this band of heavy snow moving through, some Arctic air punching in. The wind has been absolutely wild here. And now we're seeing that wind start to back off today. Some snow accumulating too, and now we're starting to dry out some. Another northwest flow event starts to move in, another clipper system. That's going to bring some heavier snow, though, into the Great Lakes. It's not going to be earth-shattering, but a couple of inches here. And that upper low continues to spin here across the Southwest. Otherwise, if I've not said your state, if I've not said your region, it's because most of you are dry and quiet and tranquil. Temperatures starting to go above average. We've got some showers here across Texas starting to move in, and that's out ahead of this upper low. That moves north, and now we've got to worry about the severe weather as we head into Wednesday. Storm Prediction Center highlighting this area from Dallas down into central Texas for some severe thunderstorms, maybe an isolated tornado too. This looks a little bit lighter than yesterday, but it picks up as we head in now into Thursday, into East Texas, into Louisiana, places that just saw a foot of snow now could be dealing with severe weather and tornadoes. So a pretty wild weather week for sure, and a wild winter so far. Let's take a look at what's going on for the rest of the week. This is Thursday. Those storms again moving east into Louisiana. Your upper low spinning back here. Cold air up here into the Northeast, again, starting to lift out. We're quiet across the west on Thursday. And then as this low moves to the east, the rain spreads east too. So from Kentucky, Tennessee, down into Mississippi, we've got the showers. Some of these storms here could be strong too, and the rain also overspreading to the north. On the very northern fringe of this precipitation, there could be some snow. And I don't know, maybe even into Chicago. We're seeing some of this trying to mix over here on some of the latest model runs. This is the European from overnight. And taking it out even further into the weekend, this starts to stretch out into the northeast. So mainly across northern parts of New England, really, not southern New England, really not even Massachusetts, I think, with this particular system. Some heavy snow possible, though, up into Maine, and then cold high pressure builds in, temperatures drop, and now we've got a big storm with that trough moving into the west. That snow could get really heavy again here into the weekend across the Pacific Northwest. And then another system, that's pretty much the same area of low pressure associated with that trough, starts to move east, put some snow into Ontario, but too warm for snow here across a lot of the country. I think things do start to change, though, again, as we head toward the 6th, 7th, and 8th. It'll take a little time. We're going to dig this trough into the west. I showed you the upper level pattern, what was going on, and now reflecting that at the surface, you start to see that trough digging east. Again, this is modeled out data. I don't believe anything that I'm seeing, but I'm looking for trends here, and that would dig your trough here into the east, into the central U.S., and then it might set your storm pattern up for something to develop in that 8th through 15th time frame at this point. Still very early. More time to go on that as we sort of get closer. We'll iron those details out, and we'll see if this really holds up. This looks pretty confident, though. We've got the snow through Wednesday with that second system moving through the northeast, and there comes the rain if you're timing it out in other areas from Missouri up north into Iowa, Ohio, Indiana. We start to get wet heading into Thursday night into Kentucky, and that moves north into Virginia, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Maryland, D.C. We've got the rain. On the northern end of this, there could be some ice into parts of Pennsylvania to start, and then we'll switch over to some rain, and there's that snow on the very northern edge. So I don't know about Detroit, but just north of that, there could be some snow, and then back to Chicago. How about that? Maybe a little bit of snow for the snow drought-stricken Chicagoland area. Doesn't look like a big snow, though, unfortunately, if that's what you're hoping for. It does get a little heavy, though, here into northern parts of New York, into New England, up into Vermont, New Hampshire, into Maine, as this area of low pressure deepens as it hits the coast. So that could put a heavy band of snow here, and then we start to dry out behind that as high pressure moves in, and with some colder temperatures here into the northeast. Temperatures swing back north. That's, I guess, the warm air moves north, and temperatures go up. That's a better way of describing that as we head into Sunday and then into Monday of next week. The wind is going to be a big deal. It's been a big deal yesterday. It's going to continue to be windy as this next system moves through. So let's look at where we are right now. This would be through today. We're seeing our winds back off here into New York, into the northeast. A little windy along the coast, but this is our next wind maker that swings through the Great Lakes. Gusts could exceed 50 to 55 at times. There's multiple wind advisories out for some of these areas. So you can see these winds picking up. Look at that. Even gusting down toward the Ohio River, close to 30 to 40 miles per hour. And into parts of Ohio, we could see gusts over 50. And when this hits the mountains of West Virginia and Pennsylvania, some of these higher ridges could easily gust over 50, 55 miles per hour. This moves off to the east as we head into Wednesday morning. Still breezy. It's going to be colder here. I mean, look at the wind going here into D.C. Hold on to your hat. It's going to stay windy all the way through Wednesday evening. And then we finally start to calm down, at least here. Here's a look at your snow, a little bit closer. This would be your snow totals through the next couple of days. Again, not much south of this line. We do have some decent snow accumulation to parts of northern Michigan, the UP a couple of inches here, and then back here into western New York. So even Rochester may pick up a couple of inches out of this, but the heaviest snow downwind of the of Lake Ontario, the Tug Hill Plateau, into Vermont and New Hampshire here. And then the next system, a little bit closer look. This is not taking into account the snow that we're getting now. This would be just that second system only. This is a 10-to-1 ratio, so maybe a little compressed. It may be a little fluffier than this, but a couple of inches here across the northeast. Central Plains, dry. I mean, we're looking pretty nice here. We've got some moisture building over Texas, so the rain will start to break out, and that's where your severe weather is possible heading into Wednesday evening here, Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening across Texas. There's some snow breaking out across parts of Colorado, western Kansas, maybe even some mixed precip up here over in Nebraska. It doesn't move very far to the north, though. So South Dakota, up into North Dakota, Minnesota, we're dry. And then this cold bowling ball of cold air aloft continues to move off to the east. Maybe some mixed precip on the north side of that into parts of Missouri, Kansas, Iowa. And we talked about that snow possible over toward Chicago. And then we dry out here across most of the plains. Maybe a little light snow up here towards Minnesota. and then that swings off to the east as we now head into the first part of next week. Closer look at the west, that's the upper low that we're watching here across the southwest, continuing to bring some rain and snow here into the mountains of Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado. That pushes to the east, and there comes the heavy rain and snow into the west, British Columbia, down to Washington, Oregon, Northern California. Coastal ranges, a ton of snow here, a ton of rain too. It's been a while since we've seen something quite this strong. We've been very dry, and now we're going to get the precip moving in here, and that pushes well inland too, into Idaho, into Montana. So we're going to go back to building that snowpack up here, and some of that is going to continue all the way through the weekend. Cold high pressure. I mean, this is some pretty cold air too, by the way, up here just north of the border into Canada, and also arguably pushing down into South Dakota. Some of that upslope flow here across the mountains really causing some heavy snow here as high pressure nudges down the east face of the mountains. And then we see some return flow here. That would bring your snow levels up into California and then crash back down. And this could be some really heavy snow into the Sierra heading into next week. A long time before we get there. And that right there, guys, would be what moves east, potentially bringing some type of storm as we head into, again, that 8th, 9th, 10th time frame. A long way to go before we get there. If you're new to the channel, thanks for coming by. I appreciate you guys stopping over. I hope you'll subscribe, come back. Have a great day. I'll see you next time.